In our example, first we want to create an array of 10 random integers of length exactly 4 digits. Let us declare the array first, and then we will think about how to generate numbers that are exactly 4 digits. Let us write the question as a comment: create an array of 10 random integers of length 4 digits. First, we will create the array, and then we will think about how to generate integers that are exactly 4 digits. To declare the array, we write integer empty square bracket. We will call the array number equal to new, and here we are going to create 10 integers. To generate a random integer that is exactly 4 digits, we need to know the smallest and largest 4-digit integers as a range. The start of the range will be the smallest, and the end of the range will be the largest. Then we apply the equation that generates random integers in this range. First, let us write the equation that generates random integers within a range. We will define an integer that is called rand, which will store the random numbers, and the equation for generating a random number in a range, typecasting with an integer, and the equation will be end minus start plus 1. The result is multiplied by math dot random, and then we add the start. To think about the smallest 4-digit, when we say that the number is 4-digit, if the leftmost digit starts with 1, so the smallest number, which is the start, when it starts and the leftmost digit as 1, and all remaining digits are 0. So this is the smallest 4-digit integers that we can get. Now for the largest 4-digit integers, when all the digits are 9, so we have 9, 9, 9, and 9. So this is the equation that will generate random numbers in the range 1000 up to 9999. In this equation, you can replace the constant calculations by the result. You know that 9999, when you add 1 to it, it will be 10,000. 10,000 minus 1,000, it will be 9,000. So you can put here 9,000 instead. So now this is the equation in short to generate random numbers that are exactly 4 digits. After generating the random numbers, we need to save them into the array. So we will create a for loop. We will say for, and the integer as an index I will start from 0, and I will go less than 10, I plus plus, because we have 10 elements. And the result of this equation, we're going to save it into the array. So we write number as an index variable between bracket I. It's equal to this equation. In each iteration, a random number is generated and saved into the corresponding index element value. Now, if I want to see the values that are saved into the array, we create another loop. Starts from 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, and then we write system.out.println, and we print the number as indexed variable. Let us test our program. We run it. We have an error. Yes, the error is that random is a method, so we have to put brackets around it, around the brackets. And now we run the program. As you see that we have saved into the array 10 random integers. Next, what we want to do to think about index variables is that suppose we would like to do the following. Suppose we would like to swap the first element in the array with the last element. So this is a task that we want to do on the array. We have an array of 10 integers, and we need to swap the first element with the last element. We need to locate the first element, and we need to locate the last element, and we do swapping. Remember how to do swapping. You define an integer, and we will call it temp. You will put the first integer, and then you will say first is equal second, and then you will say that second is equal to temp. So what is first? It is the first element in the array. And how to reference the first element in the array? We write number 0. Now we need to think about the second element, which is the last element in the array. So here we write again number I. And what about the second number that we want to swap with the first one? And this one is going to be the last element. We write the name of the array, and now we need to think about an integer expression between the square brackets that will take me to the last element. You know that we have 10 elements in the array. So where is going to be located the last element? It's going to be located at index 9. So we will do swapping between these two indexed variables, between 0 and 9. After executing these three statements, then the first element with the last element will be swapped. Let us see this in action with the canvas. There is a mistake here. I have used I supposed to use 0 because we want to swap the element at 0 with the element at the end, which is at index 9. Let us run it again. There are no errors, so we will go over the array. So let us skip the arrays and go directly to line 15. So the array is created. Let us see what are the numbers inside. These are the random numbers generated. And now we want to swap between the first element and the last element. The first element is 2693 and the last element is 9381. So we will step into these three steps for swapping and notice that we have swapped between the first one and the last one. Let us add one more task. Let us write this task as a comment. It says any integer in the array, if it is even and its next neighbor is also even, then print its index. Let me explain it briefly. We need to check all numbers in the array. If any of these numbers is even, we need to check its neighbor that comes next. If it is also even, then we need to print its index. To do this task, we need to go over the elements one by one. So the first thing we think about is a for loop. So we write for integer I equals 0, I less than 10, I plus plus, assume we are going to visit every element in the array from the beginning until the end. Now we write an if statement. If the indexed value, which is number indexed by I, if it is even, and how to test for even, modulus 2 equal 0. If it is even, then we need to check its next neighbor. And how to check its next neighbor? We write another if statement and we write number. Its next neighbor will be at I plus 1. This is the next neighbor. We also check for it if it is even. And if that's the case, we will print its index. So we will write system.out.println and we will say found 1 at index, and we need to print the index, and the index is the value of I. That's all what we write inside the loop. But we have to be careful on what are the values of I, so we don't want to go out of bound of the array size. Notice that we check every element with its next neighbor. So for when I is 0, we are going to check 1. When I is 1, we are going to check 2. Now when I is 9, we are going to check 10, but we don't have any element in 10. So therefore, the loop should not go from 0 up to 9. It should go up to 8. So we will write, instead of 10, we are going to write 9. Now when we run the program to see the output, we will end the current canvas and we run the program again. We have seen the result very fast. Let us see the result with the canvas. So we will run the canvas and let us come directly to line 21. And now this is the array and its random numbers. Okay, and now let us go into the array step by step. So we will go inside. Now let us put the value of I in the canvas to trace our program. Now I is 0, that means we are referring to the first element. This element is odd, so we are not going to test its value. So we are going to skip this element. Now this next element is even. We are going to check its next element. Next element is not even, so also it will be skipped. Now I is 2, so we are referring to this number. It is odd, it will be skipped. I is 3, 3 is even. I mean the index variable at index 3 is even, and the next one is also even, so it will print 3 on the output screen. And see, found one at index 3. In the next iteration, when I is 4, we are referring to this index variable. It is even, and the next one is also even, so it is going to be tested, and its index value will be also printed. See, it is printed that one was found at index 4. When we go to the next iteration 5, the next one is also even, so it satisfies the condition. It will be printed on the screen, the index. When I is 6, it is even, but the next one is not even, it will be skipped. And when I is 7, the number is odd, it will be skipped. And when I is 8, it is even, and the next one is also even, so its index will be printed on the output screen. And finally, we will exit the loop because the last index in the loop that we are going to reach is when I is equal to 8. So this is how you process arrays, and this is how you process the indices of the arrays. You can write an integer expression to reference any location in the array.